Hey everybody, 3KO Games here. Thanks for tuning into another Empires and Puzzles video. The long-awaited birthday summon is here. And now is my chance to talk through all of these heroes. We've got two brand new heroes, brand new family, and then a bunch of great heroes that you can choose to be featured along in your summon if you choose to do some big, expensive gem pulls. Let's jump in and take a look. So, first of all, the new heroes here and here are of this Wildcat family. We'll look at Leonie, 5-star green rogue, so she gets a chance to dodge. 1170 team power with very high attack, 1308, 1100 defense, 1996 on health. Love the artwork. I mean, the actual picture of her is fine. I kind of like what we're doing with the borders here. It's fun. I think the Beowulf family also has a fun border. When you double limit break Leonie, she gets a special skill boost of 30% additional damage for the first 6 turns, which may happen a few times because she is fast speed. Let's get there in just a second after we look at the family bonus. Bonus chance to dodge for 1, 2, 3 heroes of the Wildcat family, 5, 10, or 15%. So she's already a rogue, and now she's going to get an extra 5% chance to dodge. It's pretty good there. The big news is this 9 lives passive. You've probably heard of it already. In case not, this little lady is going to revive a bunch of times. When defeated, this character has a 75% chance to revive at the beginning of the next turn with 50% health and 75% mana. The 75% mana thing is huge. Just about ready to fire. Fast speed, so 75% mana is like a couple tiles into her and she's going to fire again. This activates up to 9 times. The chance to revive is reduced on each activation. Can't be prevented with status ailments or passive skills. I have Phonexa, and I know that she reduces the chance of revival, but that apparently is not going to be helpful at all here. This is just going to happen. We don't know exactly what the reduction is for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, oh my gosh, 6th, 7th time that they revive, and you're just trying to end this battle. But it will be a little bit reduced each time. But just, I can't imagine trying to kill this thing 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And there she is again. Man, she's going to be brutal. And that's not even looking at the special skill. Let's get there. First, we're going to look at the trait, another passive. We have traits, they're brand new passive-ish skills that are positive and negative. Her trait is Lithe Frame. This character is not affected by effects that increase or reduce defense. So the good news is with anybody that you face with her on your team that has defense down, negative defensive stack, or wither on defense, it doesn't affect her at all. On the negative side, if you take her on your offense and you're trying to put growth of positive defense on your team growth, or a defense up status buff, it's not going to take for her. So you just have to keep that in mind. But for sure, preventing it on the defense sounds pretty good. All right, now let's look at that special skill. Claws of the Lioness. Fast speed deals 250% clawing damage to the target and nearby enemies. I don't know that clawing damage is any different from just like a 250% damage. It's just that she has claws. But let's see. Ooh, and additionally, 375% damage against enemies with minions or mega minions. So that's a big increase there. And enemies with minions or mega minions receive 30% defense down for 6 turns. It's pretty good. So definitely really strong against the minion and mega minion meta. But even 250% damage is not going to be too bad on fast speed with her attack stat, which is limit broken, over 1800, just crazy. In addition, the target and nearby enemies receive 1500 surge bleed damage over 6 turns. The target already has this. Duration will be refreshed and the damage will be increased by 300. So, at fast speed, within 6 turns, you might reset that once, maybe even twice. Leonie, going to be a monster of a hero. Really great. Let's jump over and look at the other Wildcat hero, Rajesh. There he is eating some cherries. Meatball. Oh, those are meatballs. Royal Meatball Buffet is his special skill. So those are probably the meatballs. Very nice. Also 1170 team power. Leans a little bit more defensive. No, he still leans attack, but it is a little bit more balanced is what I mean to say. 1279 attack, 1137 defense, and 1998 on health. Passives and family are all the same. He gets a Fiend Resist Ether talent, which is not particularly great. Very niche. Yes, okay, occasionally fiends come up and then he doesn't get it. So there's that. Let's just jump right into the special skill because there's so many heroes to talk about here. Royal Meatball Buffet at average speed cleanses all status ailments from all allies and increases allies' mana by 5% for each cleansed ailment. Pretty nice. Priority cleanse. I don't know if this is a safe cleanse, assuming that it is not. So you could actually hurt him with, after he's hit by Pepper Flame or Star Walker or something like that. But the increase of mana by 5% for each cleansed ailment, if you go against a ailment-heavy team, that might be a couple ailments on each hero, and then big mana boost. All allies bypass defensive buffs with their attacks for 3 turns. If any deep defensive buffs are bypassed, the attacking allies' mana is increased by 10%. So they'll be ready to charge even sooner again after they attack once and bypass a dodge or a counter attack. They usually don't bypass the dodge. They dodge the attack that would have bypassed, which is, I've never quite understood it, but it's the way it works. Okay, so another way to boost your mana there by bypassing defensive buffs. All allies resist new negative mana effects for 4 turns, and their mana is increased by 15% for each resisted effect. We do have some new heroes, maybe like Hridemar, who's going to steal mana over time, and this guy's going to resist that. But the big news there would be against Fergus. All allies would resist that new negative mana effect, and instead get their mana boosted pretty good. And there's a stack of a 10 stack, up to a 10 stack of positive attack, 30% attack that all allies get every time he fires his special skill. He doesn't do any damage by himself. He is a support hero, so you have to be willing to work with that support hero. I think as long as you've thought about your team composition and your enemy target, he could be very, very good. I don't think he's a good defensive hero because I think there are ways around it. I think Leonie would be an excellent defensive hero. Rajesh, not quite as much. Of course, the 9 lives thing would make him really, really annoying. But if he's the last one standing, because of the 9 lives thing, then most of his special skill is not that important because he's a support hero and he's basically buffing and giving mana to the rest of his team. So I feel like these Wildcats are going to be the last ones standing, at which point he's not doing much except like constantly reviving. So Rajesh, great hero. I don't think as strong as Leonie, not quite as usable in all situations. All right, so now we take a look. When you tap to change, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 heroes to take a look at here. I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible, but also know that, well, there's 20 of them. We got to go through all of them. How do you pick out of this list with all excellent heroes? I have 2 of them. You know, if you are a big spender or really, really super lucky, maybe you have a bigger number of them. But these are the heroes that you go up against and you're like, oh, nope, they killed me this time again. So if I try to pick my top picks here, it is not saying that anybody else is not a good pick. I don't think there's a wrong move in here anywhere based on your play style, your roster, what mats you have available right now, so who you can level up. They're all great. You know what? Let's just go from the bottom and start talking about people. Ott from the Nidavellir realm, so he gets that corrosive burn, which by itself is really good. He is a healer at fast speed, a health booster, I should say, 600, which is not a huge number, but he does other things that make him very strong, including the Firestorm Ward that protects from damage and reduces the damage even more against nature heroes. Also, all allies are immune to buff dispels and reallocations for 3 turns. That can come in handy. You have to think about that carefully, but one particular situation there is up against Bernadette. You get a status ailment immunity, and then his special, and then Bernadette can't dispel the status ailment immunity, and hit you with her paintings. Great hero. I don't know that he's in my top 5 or whatever, but Ott, great hero, great healer. Quarry is one of the astral dwarves. At average speed, he's going to hit 3 for a pretty big number, 435, plus all of that water damage, and he heals the allies with 50% of the dealt water damage, plus all allies get 200 attack and defense as growth. He does a lot. Plus, he's got the passives that are trying to fight against the minions. He bypasses the minions. He doesn't have... He resists negative minion effects, and he never misses. Lots of good stuff happening here with Quarry. He's a little... I was going to say a little older, but he's not really that much older. When you turn up Max Power Preview off, you can see we've got people that are all the way up to like 1160, like very, very recent here, all the way down to, I think maybe Bernadette's one of the oldest person like 1078, or maybe it's Armand 1090. I mean, those stats are a little older, but still these are some of the premier heroes in the game. So if you're thinking of this from just a stat mindset, who is the most current hero in the game? That is one way of analyzing these. And Quarry, 1152, very, very current. Ott, 1150, very current. Beowulf, 1164, very current. He's a great hero. Gets tons of passives, never misses. You cannot reduce his mana. They get a attack stack when they receive damage. He is a sniper. 615% damage to the target, and recovers 15% health for all allies. So, you know, he can't be your only healer on a team, But if you are somebody who likes to bring a healer and a half, or maybe two different types of healers, you could get away with one other like primary healer, and then this just additional little boost with 15% health is pretty nice. Increases the mana of all allies by 10%, and all allies get a plus 25% attack stack every time he fires his special at average speed. If he were a hit 3 or hit all, I think he would be somebody I would consider in the top. Also, for me personally, I have lots of red heroes that I'm still trying to level up, so he won't be my pick, but he's an excellent hero. Just a sniper, but snipers work well in today's meta with huge enemies that you have to sometimes pick off one by one. That's Beowulf. We'll look at Vard. I've faced off against Vard and lost in Rush and in regular wars. So don't let the slow speed fool you. Wither, all enemies get negative 350 attack and negative 350 defense. That's pretty crippling unless you have a garrison guard hero to get rid of that. 450% damage to all enemies, and all enemies get negative 30% mana generation for 5 turns. That's a lot. Now, if you bring Leonie from the Wildcat, she's going to resist the mana generation thing. She's going to resist the Wither on defense, all that kind of stuff. But Vard's a good hero. He's slow, and is he game-changing at slow speed? I don't think he's game-changing. He's excellent, but maybe not one of my top picks. All right, we're going to keep going in here and look at Regin. Fast, speed, priority dispel of 3, which is very good. I've lost against Regin many, many times as well. Attacks the target and nearby enemies with Firestorm Strike, up to 1900 damage, so the base damage there is 950, and then with Growth and Wither, it can increase. Plus 40% more damage if the target is of the nature element, which makes sense with a red hero. This special skill never misses its targets. And the target and nearby enemies are immune to new status effect buffs for 3 turns. So it dispels the buffs and won't let you get them back. Regin, super strong hero, very, very good. Sludgus, great healer, does that wonderful dance where, or all the allies do that wonderful dance where they're going to dodge, and if they dodge, they damage the attacker for 1600 HP. A 50% health recovery right up front, and then after the dance is done, an additional 700 HP. Sludgus is a great hero. I think, though, there are counters. There are more and more heroes that don't ever miss, so the dodge thing won't actually affect them. And personally, I've found a couple different ways of fighting against Sludgus. Excellent hero. I think if you're looking for a yellow healer, there are better yellow healers right here in this list here. Hrothgar, maybe a top pick because I love the mana reduction. 310% damage to all enemies and a mana reduction of 20%. Just stop that other team. Plus, they get negative mana generation. When you reduce mana by 20% and get negative 24% mana generation, that could be enough to slow them down by one whole tile match that you throw into them. I'm not smart enough to do all that math right now. Plus, you get this kind of random buff to somebody on your team each turn for 4 turns of attack up and defense up for 5 turns. Can't control it, but it's pretty nice. Hrothgar, great hero. Dagger, another excellent hero from the Nidavellir realm that attacks all enemies with a Firestorm Strike up to 1400 damage. More damage if it's a nature hero, and this special skill never misses. Also, this damage bypasses the target's minions, and all enemies receive poison damage, 384 poison damage. When you double limit break, that's up to 548 poison damage over 4 turns. And all enemies take plus 45% increased damage from burn and poison status ailments for 4 turns. That still saves 45% even without emblems and double limit breaks. He's great. I think he's especially good on offense. Could use another strong green hitter. An excellent choice there in Dagger. Keep going. We got Maisie. Another Garrison Guard hero. Health booster of 800. Can exceed max HP. Plus boosts health of all allies by 160 for each status ailment that the ally has, up to another 800 in total. Summons a Shield Guard Mega Minion, 65% HP and 180% attack. And that Mega Minion safely cleanses the latest cleansable status ailment from all allies each turn. So you're getting a healer and a cleanser who's extra boosted by that Mega Minion. Plus, of course, the passive resists mana reduction and removes all wither effects from all allies. She's pretty good. If it were a percent heal, I would be percent heal plus a boost per status ailment would be even stronger because she would last longer. But the straight up number health boost, she's going to last quite a long time. But eventually, that number of 800 might not be as impressive. But Maisie, good hero. Armand, one of the oldest heroes in here, but he still just rules this game. From the Opera family, 300% damage to all enemies and a bodyguard Mega Minion with 50% HP and 250% attack inherited from the caster. And the big thing here is that the target hit by the bodyguard Mega Minion falls asleep and receives plus 60% increased damage while sleeping. Does wake up once it takes damage. So you choose, do you want to keep it asleep? Do you want to hit it and take the extra damage? Up to you. The passives are not quite as impressive here with Armand. His stats are not quite as impressive, but he's still an excellent hero. Sable, kind of a weird fox hero that a lot of people like quite a bit. Full removal of status effect buffs or ailments or growth or wither or stacks, everything from her. And she shifts into ghost form, which will guaranteed revive one random ally, and then all allies gain 900 health. And cleanses status ailments from all allies at the end of each turn for 3 turns. She does a lot. It's all kind of after this ghost form thing happens, so that's a little weird. But a lot of people really like working with her. I don't know if she's quite as good on defense, but on offense, having a reviver could be really good. Maybe she'd be fine on defense too. Fox family, so she has that negative healing, decreased healing for all enemies. Pretty good with Sable. Rosalind. Okay, Rosalind's a little bit older. 11, 10 team power, but she's still pretty good. Garrison Guard hero. But I remember even like a month ago having Rosalind tanks in war that would just last and last and last, and nobody can take them out. Because she recovers 30% health at fast speed, has a stack where all damage all allies receive is reduced by 5%, could be up to 10%, and she keeps firing and firing, so it's harder and harder and harder to kill her. Plus the Shield Guard Mega Minion with 65% HP, 180% attack. Pretty great. And that Shield Guard Mega Minion safely cleanses the latest cleansable status ailment from all allies each turn. She's a beast of a healer, one of the top healers in the game, and definitely a pick, even though maybe not the latest hero, for who I might put in my top 3 to choose from. All right, continuing here, let's jump to Astrid next. Astrid, excellent healer and reviver of the new Bard family. Booming Mend with the big old drum there is her special skill. Recovers 50% health for all allies. And as I was saying before, percentage recovery is always stronger, I think, than a number boost in the long run. That means in a year, 2 years from now, when everybody's HP is up over 3,000, 50% is still going to be 50% of that. Plus, she gets a 40% chance to revive each defeated ally with 30% HP. It's not revive first and then recover health, but it's still pretty good. 40% chance is pretty great. And a 20% chance to drop any received damage to 1 for 3 turns for all allies. All this together, plus a defense up ether talent if she gets double limit broken, makes her fantastic both on offense and defense. When you have her on your defense plus one of these just mega tanky people like a Bernadette or a Fergus, and she's just going to revive them after you finally beat them, it can be really, really frustrating. You kind of have to take her out first, but then again, you kind of have to take out Fergus first. So what are you going to do? And if you're trying to prevent against Fergus or Bernadette with a dance, well, she's going to reduce the dance to 1 turn, or the ballad down to 1 turn. Astrid, fantastic healer, one of the tops in the game. Let's keep going. Kolya of the Garrison Guard family dispels and cleanses. So priority dispel 1 buff from all enemies. It's the latest. Then deals 300% damage to all enemies, all at average speed. Deals an additional 6% damage per removed set status effect, up to 330% damage in total. Plus gets a shield guard mega minion of 65% HP and 180% attack. We know about the mega minions. That mega minion safely cleanses the latest cleansable status ailment from all allies each turn. Kolya's pretty fantastic. Kolya's a really excellent hero. Dularfuller, one that I have. Hooray! So I can talk about her. Great healer. At first, when they released her, she didn't have a very good special, and then they added the health recovery, and it totally changed the game. So, fast speed, 30% health recovery. It's not a huge health recovery, but at fast speed, it's pretty great. Plus, she gets a Firestorm ward that reduces incoming special skill damage up to 1,200 and reduces the damage by an additional 30% when the attacker is of the nature element. I always kind of forget about that and trying to think about bringing her in against attacking nature heroes, but anyway. And an status ailment immunity buff for 4 turns for all allies. Pretty great. Plus, with this Nidavellir realm, you get all that corrosive burn. So she's a healer, but she's still gonna attack. She's still gonna that molten core and that corrosive burn. It's gonna hurt the enemies for sure. I use her on defense as my tank quite often. All right, Dima, excellent attacking hero from the Garrison Guard family. I guess at this point he's a little bit older, but that is totally relative. I do have Dima, use him a lot. 400% damage to the target and nearby enemies at average speed. Plus, the target and nearby enemies get negative 25% defense for 4 turns. That effect is reset if the enemy is healed. So that's great. Summons a Sword Guard Mega Minion with 35% HP and 300% attack inherited from the caster. Every time I use him, especially on raids and whatever, I'm like, wait a minute, how come all these enemies are dying? What's happening? I forget how hard that Mega Minion hit is from Dima. It's awesome. A target hit with a Sword Guard Mega Minion receives 456 bleed damage over 3 turns, and this effect spreads to nearby enemies. All of that, plus the Garrison Guard passives of getting rid of the Wither and resisting mana reduction, make Dima a really, really excellent hero. Now, top row features some really, really top level heroes. Bernadette, we all know and love, or know and hate. This cursed painting, in case I don't know what rock you've been living under, but she first dispels buffs from all enemies, and that's what makes it really hard. You can't resist it with a status ailment immunity thing. She'll just dispel that buff. She deals a little damage, 250% damage to all enemies, and then everybody turns into a cursed painting for 5 turns. Can't be cleansed. Have less stats while they're painting, 70% attack, 70% defense, and then the special skill is like nothing. And maybe you can break free, but pretty much once she fires, it's game over. Now, she is a little bit older. People have figured out ways to get around her. Toon costumes can resist. There are ways to get like an undispellable ailment immunity. And there is a rumor from Beta that they're going to change her special skill slightly or rework her special skill to what it was supposed to be. They're calling it a bug fix because there are heroes out there that are supposed to resist having their special skill blocked in any way. But when she goes, she basically does that. And this especially affects construct heroes. There may be a fix or change coming in the near future where construct heroes would be added to the list of toons and some other random heroes that can resist her. So, something to consider. I don't have Bernadette. I think she would be awesome. Personally, I think I'm not quite as afraid of her as I once was, and I probably would not put her in my top list right now. All right. Ooh, already selected. I didn't select them by purpose. So let's take a look at Silverpaw. Steals all minions or Mega Minion from 1 and inflicts that target with lasting greed. Friendly effects from special skills only affect characters with greed. So you're grabbing that Mega Minion, and then, but whoever you hit, they're going to get any of the buffs from the team. But nobody else on the team gets those buffs, so that's kind of interesting. Plus, all enemies receive curse damage. That has hurt me more than I realized before. Silverpaw is a great hero, only affecting the one target. I mean, it has to be because of the lasting greed. But because it only affects one with a one Mega Minion, when you're facing a team with 5 Mega Minions sometimes, makes Silverpaw very good, but maybe not my top pick. Also, I have to get out of here and find Hridemar. Vicious attacker, up to 2100 damage on everybody, plus more damage against nature, never misses, steals mana, increasing over 4 turns, and steals the latest dispellable buff from all enemies and distributes them randomly among allies for 4 turns. She does tons. At slow speed, you have to be willing to work with slow speed. Is she a game changer at slow speed? Maybe not a game changer. I would put her above Vard as far as purple slow speed heroes. But definitely in Rush War and possibly outside of that. But somebody who's not just possibly, but is definitely even at slow speed, is our man Fergus. Again, I don't know if you've been living under a rock, but Fergus is destroying defenses or attacking teams. He's just destroying everybody because he reduces the mana of the enemy with the most mana by 70% and reduces the mana of all other enemies by 40%, plus gives them negative mana generation. So you lost all your mana and you can't gain it back. And he's going to protect himself with that Sword Guard Mega Minion, 35% HP, 300% attack. Everybody hit by that Sword Guard Mega Minion receives 414 bleed damage over 4 turns. He's excellent. If you don't have him, that is the clear, you should take this guy. You should feature this guy. Who else do I think you should take among this list? My gosh, there are so many people. I feel like Fergus is going to be on my list. I feel like one of the yellow healers is on my list, either Rosalind or Astrid. And I don't have a good reviver, so I think I'm going to feature Astrid. Who else is going to be in my top list? Even if I didn't have them, I don't know that Dular Fuller and Dima would be on the top of my list. Well, they're both very good. I think I'm going to put in Kolya with both the Dispel buff and Cleanse status ailments, plus the big hit. He's just excellent. I would love to have another Mega Minion type hero. These are my featured. Who did you feature? What do you think about this list? What do you think about the Wildcat heroes? I would love to hear down below any of your opinions. And I was debating it because the chances are pretty low. It's 1% for a legendary featured hero. But if you get one of those, you will get another non-featured legendary hero as a bonus. And there are lots of good legendaries here, even costumes that are just not featured, but still very good. I have enough for a 10 pull. Let's do a 10 pull. Yeah, don't have any superstitions to do. Let's just give it a shot and see what happens. Probably no luck for me. Jocko with the costume, okay. Gilra with the costume. Lots of costumes that I don't need at all. Another Jocko with a costume. No, thank you. Morris with a costume. Hey, Skarn. Well, that's pretty good. And Tora, wow. That's pretty excellent. Nordry with a costume. Head of Furies with costume, yes. Captain Nemo with costume. Wow, that's a huge 10 pull. Now, I didn't get any of the featured, but Skarn is great. Construct family hero. Tora is great. Ninja family hero. Head of Furies, I have already maxed, and now I have the costume. I was thinking about trying to get a costume somehow. Okay, Nemo sucks. But 3 pretty good heroes with a 10 pull. I am super stoked. I'm pretty excited about that. That's excellent. Hey, thank you everybody for watching the video. Good luck if you do some pulls, and we'll see you next time.